In news from Jamaica, the publication of a report from the Office of the Public Defender outlines 19 things wrong with the operations of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA. Investigations for the report ensued after the massive fire which started on March 15, 2015 and continued for almost 2 weeks. On Thursday, a day after the report was revealed, Public Defender Arlene Harrison Henry told the CEEN News team that the breaches are sanctionable.
Under the NRCA Act, there are certain penalties for infractions, and the penalty that ultimately was suffered by the National Solid Waste thus far is a suspension of its license or its permit. But there are penalties for, under varying acts for doing things. I haven't looked at that very closely. I dealt with the broad issue of March 2015 fire.
The public defender confirmed that as a sanction, the environmental permit that was issued to the NSWMA by the National Environmental Protection Agency, NEPA, was suspended. Meanwhile, the report notes that several of the issues have been addressed since the fire, and Mrs. Harrison Henry says she's particularly pleased that the operation of the dump has improved.
Based on my visits to the Riverton disposal facility, things look to me to be much improved. The site is covered, the site is tidy, they are now operating within one cell. In other words, then one cell is active and the other cells are dormant. So it seems to me that the conditions imposed by NEPA were robust conditions and reasonable conditions that would have safeguarded the public from the varying fires if strictly adhered to. It appears to me that there is good improvement based on what we have seen.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, Dennis Chung, says all the issues mentioned in the report have already been addressed, making the release at this time pretty much null.
We started looking at the whole thing of the financial statements. We actually had completed a few years of the audit across companies, not more than 1 or 2 years across companies, because there are about 5 companies we're looking at. Riverton situation has been dealt with in terms of there's only 1 acre of cell open at any one time, so that there's no risk of any major fire. There's a fire suppression system down there. From the start of our board meetings, we had looked at the legal responsibility of the NSWMA under Section 4 of the NSWMA Act, and we had determined exactly what the NSWMA is responsible for, so that was dealt with. The whole thing of the public health from a garbage collection point of view, we recognized that that was a problem, which is why we had ordered the 17 trucks from Renault. We had gone through the process of determining which ones were the most suitable for the Jamaican environment and which trucks actually held up best. We had worked with NWA on it.
Mr. Chung also noted that the NSWMA has been actively seeking a legal resolution to the $200 million it allegedly owes former employees through IDT awards arising from dismissals in a previous period. The report calls for an investigation into the debt by the Contractor General. As for the financial management outlined in the report, Mr. Chung says that is currently being resolved.
In terms of the intercompany balances between like MPM and NSWMA, we recognize that those balances exist, but we didn't think it was something that should warrant a lot of attention given all the other things that needed to be done. And simply because from an intercompany point of view, it nets out to zero, because one is owed by company A within the company and one is receivable by company B, so the net of it is zero. So we didn't think it was a great need to look at that. The whole matter of the accounting controls, all of that was being put in place. We had a new finance director who was doing well, and we got him about 2 consultants to work on the whole accounting controls.
In regards to fires at the dump, Mr. Chung says the amount which was reported is actually less, but nonetheless further there will be fewer to none going forward, and in addition some of the matters raised in the report are not the responsibility of the NSWMA.
I highly doubt that there were so many fires on the dump site itself. There might have been fires around the dump site that had to be dealt with, but that is not the responsibility of the NSWMA. When they speak about the piggery that's there and the big pig farm, that is outside of the NSWMA responsibility, which is the dump site. And that's something for Parish County to deal with, so we can't get into that. And whether it's in the report or not is not something we can address. The NEPA approval, that is something that was actively being addressed, and the board had directed the operational people to ensure that that is given priority, and that was actively being addressed. At the time of election, I know they were near completion with NEPA. They were in communication with them in terms of getting the permits up and running. Those permits have not been up and running for like 15 years maybe, so a lot of things that needed to be done in order for it to get there.